hip, my shoulder, my age, where I'm at in life. All right, let's get nasty.
So you're not competing?
I don't think so, no. So
It'll be different next week.
I'll be at your show.
No, you'll be like, I'm gonna compete on this instead.
I'll be at your show. Back warmed up, and then get some working sets with the pull-ups. I've always switched up my workouts over the years, but the only workout I've never switched up is how I start my back workout. I've always started with chin-ups.
You know why I also like a firefighter?
Why?
Because your glutes.
Oh yeah, I just wear these because they make my calves look bigger.
Do they? Oh. Is that how you feel?
Alright. I look stupid in tennis shoes. I can't
Well,
get
I
away
can't
with
say
it.
so because I've never seen you.
Exactly. So I always wear boots. I go a little wider because your arms are dominant. Hard pause at the top. Squeeze that back with your elbows. The wider the better, because it takes your biceps out of the movement and you want to pull it with your lats. All right.
How many sets you normally do before you get started?
About 5 sets. 5 sets with the pull-ups. Honestly, I mean, man, pull-ups are like leg extensions for your quads. It's just a movement that gets so much blood in the back. It warms the back up. It's something that feels good. You really don't want to walk away from. So typically, I'll do about 10 sets of 10, or I'll just go until I get to 100. So I'll go till failure, you know, and so I'll do a set of like 20. I can't get any more, take a break, do another set of 20 until I get to 100. My back is filled out, my joints are warm, and now I can do all the other compound movements. I don't really, it's something that feels so good and it's so good for the back. It's like, why walk away from it? When you're trying to develop a body, a physique, especially in bodybuilding, you know, there's really no rules to anything. If a movement feels good, if an exercise feels good, and you're getting contractions, stay there. I don't go above the bar. I go right where I feel the contraction in my lats, and that's where I hold it. That's where I hold the blood. That's where I want the contraction. And down here, this is where I stretch. Let all the blood into the lats, and then I trap it. The more blood you put in the muscle, the bigger the muscle is going to be. The more blood you get to the muscle, the more nutrients is going to get carried to the muscle, and it's going to grow. The harder the pause, the more blood stays in the muscle. So that's why we execute pauses. There's no rule about form. As long as you're getting the blood to the muscle and it's contracting, that's your form. You don't have to get your chin over the bar. You just have to contract the lats. You get the contraction, stretch it back out, and trap the blood at the top. Big stretch. Pull yourself through that pad. Chest up. Chest up. Gorgeous. T-bar rows, one thing we want to remember here is to keep our chest up throughout the movement because that's going to keep our lats tight. It's not about rowing the weight to you, it's about getting your lats to the weight. So you're pulling yourself into the weight. You're pulling your lats into the weight. That's what you want to think about. That's why I say pull yourself through the pad. Pull yourself through there. Yep, handle it. Roll. Roll. Fight. Gorgeous. Again, it's never about weight when it comes to building physique. It's always about tension. My muscles don't know how much weight is on this bar. All it feels is the tension. So I want hard pauses, big stretches, trap as much blood in my back as possible. And another reason why I want to worry about tension other than weight is because I want to take all the surrounding muscles out of the movement and just use my back. So if I put too much weight and I'm just trying to move the weight, I'm gonna compensate with my arms, I'm gonna compensate with my lower back, and that's gonna take away from what I'm trying to execute is growing my lats. So I use a certain amount of weight to cause a certain amount of tension where I'm just using my lats for the movement. Yeah.
How do you time your rest periods while you're training?
45 seconds, or when my partner's finished, which is a good way to do it. I don't want my muscles to get too warm. I want to keep as much blood in that particular muscle as possible. Remember, the more blood that's in the muscle, the more nutrients is being carried to that muscle, and it's growing.
So it's easy, it's just a round robin. You and your partner back and forth.
That's the best way to train.
No rest.
Absolutely. I believe so. Handle. Nice. Right. if you do need a little extra rest, do so. And the reason why I say that is because moving quickly, you can become out of breath, and you don't want you fighting for breath to take over or miss some more reps that you can actually achieve. So I think 45 seconds is enough rest time. Fight. What a rest pause is.
Okay. So this next set, I'm gonna do a rest pause set. Rest pause sets are useful for building strength and to push a lot of blood into the muscle. So what you'll do is you'll go to failure on your first set, rest 10 seconds, go to failure again, rest 10 seconds, go to failure again. So that ensures that we're pushing as much blood into the muscle as possible. And then from there, that's where we will progress weights. So where you fail is where you want to record those weights or remember them or keep them in mind. And then when you go for another rest pause set, you know, the next week, you want to either add weight or add reps to that. And that's how we know we're using progressive overload.
So you're keeping track every session,
Exactly.
and you're keeping track of how you're going to progress. So you always know what's up next week.
Yeah, so not every movement is going to have a rest pause set, but especially these types of movements where we know we're pushing a ton of blood in and we're able to progress it, that's where we want to have rest pause sets. So for example, we didn't do a rest pause set for our pull-ups because those were meant to do something different. Those were meant to warm up the muscle and to just get blood into it, but it wasn't meant for growth necessarily. But this right here is meant for growth. So now we're trying to widen out the back.
Okay.
Another good thing about rest pause sets is you secure failure at your set. So you don't walk away thinking if you had any more left in you, or if you could have got another set, or you didn't work hard enough, because you're training to absolute failure and you're failing that muscle so it can't do any more of the movement for the exercise. And that's what Brittney's showing right now. So she's going to rep until she absolutely has no more left in her. Gorgeous. Fight for it. Nice. Now she'll wait 10 seconds and she'll go again.
Yep.
Fight. Fight. Last set. Big back. Gorgeous. Fight. That really puts the period on the movement. That's it.
So rest pause sets, your last two where you're getting just the last few reps out, you might only get like 2 or 3 reps the last. But that's exactly what you want. You should be in your last set of your rest pause getting like 10, 15 reps. You didn't fail the first time. So that lets you know that you need to work a little bit harder to get into that fail mindset and that fail set.
All right.
There we go.
Yep. Up.
Move it.
Up.
Good.
Hey. Up.
Nice.
Hey.
Keep going.
Up.
Good.
Hey.
Nice. Come on. You should be pretty breathless when you're doing these types of sets.
Yep.
Let's go. Move it. Good. Row it.
Hey.
There you go. Come on. And fail means you've tried to complete the rep and you can't. It doesn't mean you get tired and you're like, oh, I'm going to stop. It means you've tried and you failed. So you have to push past the point of pain. You have to push past the point of it hurts and I want to stop. You probably want to stop after like 4 or 5 reps, but you need to keep going. It should be that heavy. Come on. Come on. Come on, again. Good. Come on.
absolutely can't do another set. That's training.
Say a lot of people run into a problem where they lose out because they sandbag, because they don't know what failure feels like.
Absolutely.
They mistake discomfort for failure.
And you know, a lot of the time, which a problem I had too, before I started utilizing the rest pause set, is I give myself a number to achieve for reps rather than just training that muscle to absolute failure. So I'm more worried about the 5 sets of 12 and getting 5 sets of 12 rather than getting the best out of each set. And the rest pause ensures that you get the best out of each set, because like Brittney said, that muscle can no longer do the certain amount of weight that you put it through. So I like it because I walk away from it knowing that I gave it absolutely everything and that muscle's worked.
I mean, even if you weren't recording your weights and sets, right, and you were going to failure, you would see more progression out of that than you would if you were just picking a number and picking how many sets that you wanted, because your body is going to continue to progress on its own, even if you weren't keeping track. So if you stayed at the same weight, more than likely weekly, if you're doing it right, you're eating right, you're doing what you need to do, you'll increase your reps, right? But mindfully, we end up increasing the weight anyway. So even if you're not as meticulous as I am, like writing in a logbook and all that, you'll see that you'll gain more progress that way by just going to failure instead of picking a weight and a set.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay just at my clavicles. So right about here.
My clavicles.
Yeah.
Now, are there any movements or applications where you might not be able to apply this approach? Like, do you find that there's any exercises specifically or body parts that respond differently or can't handle failure quite as much?
I would use the rest pause when it comes to compound movements that you're utilizing. For example, the T-bar row for me would be a compound movement. I'm using both sides at the same time simultaneously. So it's like I wouldn't use a rest pause for me, barbell curls, or any type of movement where symmetry for bodybuilding, like symmetry definition is, there's more emphasis on that. So I'm not going to do that with a dumbbell curl just because I don't want my dominant side to get more reps out of my weaker side.
Okay, so you like to keep it between.
I want to keep it even. For me, yeah. You know, Brittney might be a little different when it comes to that. I got to train to like my own kind of threshold. But for me, I would only use the rest pause for with my compound movements.
And for whatever's safest for you. So like for me, doing a rest pause with a squat is very taxing. So getting to failure with a squat is enough. And yes, that's a compound movement, but it's really taxing on the back and it's really taxing on the body. So sometimes I might do a rest pause if I'm feeling it, but if I'm not, then I won't go there. And I might put more emphasis on just a movement like a quad extension or something, where it's a little bit safer for me to keep going to failure for that. So I'm a little bit more about safety and what I know I can control during that movement. And I know that other parts of my body aren't going to give out first, right? Exactly. So with a squat, I know my back might give out, right? Even though we're not supposed to be using our back during the squat. But if you're going heavy, that might happen.
The weakest link gives eventually, yeah.
Exactly. So if we're doing a quad extension, we're only focusing on the quad. Exactly. We're only bending at the knee. So we can do a rest pause set there instead of compensating with the squat and potentially having more risk than there is a benefit.
So something like a squat, a deadlift, a good morning, those are hard to really push the limits
like
on, right?
For me, like I don't like to do RDLs for a rest pause. It's too much, it's too taxing for me. But for some people, they can do that. So it just really depends on you and what feels good for you. Like Tony said, bodybuilding is about what feels good to your body. So sometimes his stuff doesn't feel good to me and vice versa. But that's how you'll work with a training partner to see exactly what you like. So, like, he didn't do rest pause sets before I showed him. So,
Now you're all about them, huh?
I'm about them. I'm about them when it comes to certain muscle groups because I'm a guy that likes to get my gym fix. And I mean, even though I'm competitive, even though I have to build a physique, I'm somebody that maybe spends too much time in the gym just because I enjoy it. But that's counterproductive to the ideals of bodybuilding. When nutrition is involved, you have to eat meals at a certain time and you have to grow. So using the rest pause, like I said, really ensures that I put that muscle through absolute failure. When you put a muscle through failure, you ensure absolute growth, and I don't have to come back to something.
So Brittney, are there other advanced fatigue techniques you like aside from rest pause, or is rest pause one of your staples?
Rest pause is like one of my staples, because even when I do rest pause sets, like I don't really do like drop sets, for example. That's not something that I do. I would rather do a rest pause and exhaust the muscle at the same weight that I am exhausting it at, so I know exactly where to progress from. If I keep dropping the weight, of course my reps are going to go up, and I don't know where to progress from at that point. So it's just a good point where I know I can progress my weight from there. I can progress my performance from there.
You can control your progression a lot more easily, right? It's a lot more. That makes sense. That makes sense.
All the way there. Squeeze. Good. Good.
So when I do lat pull downs, I use a different angle with my elbows that I wouldn't have done when I do pull-ups. So when I was doing pull-ups, I was keeping my elbow back, which had me a lot more forward, which gave me a lot of upper back. So now when I'm doing my lats pull downs, I'm gonna keep my elbow forward, which puts more emphasis on my lower back, since I tap with my upper back on the pull-ups. At least three. Beautiful. Moving some weight.
Am I?
Yeah, you are.
How much you got on there?
Shit, she had it on whatever the 8 is.
8?
I don't know how much that is.
These days I don't want to put it on 8.
Yeah, it's pretty damn heavy. I'm only doing 10, so that'll tell you something. I'm gonna have to go up.
Yeah, gonna have to go. You don't have to be insecure, man. It's okay.
Yes.
She's strong.
Oh, I'm gonna do rest pause. Short people problems.
It's a theme in our gym.
Fight. Fight. Pull it. Pull it. Hug that back. Fight.
How many reps do you usually like to start with when you're going for rest pause, like what do you shoot for on that first set?
Like 12 to 15.
Okay.
Yeah. When you start getting into like 20 and you're like failing there, you just need to go up in weight. You don't need to you shouldn't be failing at like 6 or 7 reps, but you also shouldn't be failing at like 20, 25. It should be somewhere in between. Well, you're still in the hypertrophy range, but you're still putting a lot of blood into the muscle. So
you think 20 reps is too much?
I do. I think at that point you should be thinking about bringing your weight up.
So it's like optimal growth is like walking a line between like muscle tension
Yeah.
and then fatigue.
Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Swole.
All right. Yep.
Let's go. Good. Good. Hold it. Pull it. Good. Keep those feet down. Uh-huh. There you go.
One more. More for number 1. All right. Yep. Yep.
Move it.
Yep.
Move it. Good. Easy. Easy. Good.
2. Yep. Oh, yes. Woo. That sucked. I'm gonna do a narrow grip barbell row. I'm doing the narrow to emphasize my lower lat.
He seems a little more winded than you are.
Yeah. He's always
You're,
more-winded.
you're a little more used to this style of training.
Yeah. I remember the first time we did this, he was on the floor.
I think he's been on the floor every time since.
There's a video of him with the IV bag.
Is that where's that video at? That's going on this video. I gotta find that. Is that on Instagram?
I have it. I have a video.
I'm gonna need that.
Oh wait, are these yours? Am I taking these from you?
Oh yeah, you can use them.
Oh. Yeah, Tony's not used to feeling cardio during his.
I'm used to winning.
What? I'm used to winning.
Just for the record.
I'm used to seeing him do reps on reps on reps, but I think it's the going to failure
It's the failure.
and then going to failure again, and then going to failure again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a.
Watching that first squat workout you guys did, I can't remember the last time. She put it through the ringer. I can't remember the last time I felt that sorry for a human being. He wasn't letting go.
It's a different style of training, but it's effective. I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't effective.
So right now, we got the close grip, high back angle, and this is for the lower lats?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're doing a movement where you know your grip or something else on you is going to give out, use straps or use equipment that will help you. So with these, my grip will always go out before my back will. So to make sure that I'm going to failure, I use straps. I don't have to use straps for like the lat pull down because I know that I can get to failure without my grip going out. But with this, I definitely have to have straps to do it. Not everyone needs to, but if your grip is compromised like I am, like mine is, then it's a good idea to do so.
Especially with the amount of reps and volume you guys do, it seems like even if your grip is good, you just tear your skin up
Yeah.
trying to hold on to the bar for that much work.
It ends up to where you stop because it gets painful.
And your back's not going to grow if your skin is
Yeah.
the limiting factor. That makes sense.
Or like if your back is gonna be tripping out when you do something like this, you use a belt maybe. Or think about switching up your form. So you want to just make sure that your form and the way you protect yourself is catered to you, and what you're able to do.
Handle. This is more for me of kind of a power movement. My lats are contracted and I keep my body in a place where even though I kind of cheat with my hamstrings and roll the weight up, I keep the weight on my lats. So grip is a factor, but I kind of like fighting the grip. When I do these, so there's a scene, I don't know if your audience has ever seen this, Troy, the movie Troy, with, what's his name, Brad Pitt, and they got their rowboats and they're storming the beach of Troy, and there's this giant, and Achilles and his boys hit the beach first, and everybody else is trying to get to the beach, and there's this giant, and he's calling out for his shoulders to keep rowing because Greeks are on the beach and they're dying, and he finally grabs one of the rowers and throws him overboard and grabs the row and rows himself. That's what I think about when I do this movement. For me, I know my back's going to grow because of the amount of weight that's on the bar, but I like to fight my grip. I like to try to fight the struggle to keep the weight in a specific spot that I'm in, but it's more about me rowing, trying to get to that beach because Greeks are dying. That's what I think about when I do this shit. It's a good finisher for me. Sometimes it's okay to fight your weakness, and then you'll get stronger. So, get a strong grip. Yeah.
Easy. Lightweight.
One more.
So you might be done after this, but I have rear delts
Yeah, Brittney hits her rear delts on back day, which is good.
and biceps.
You do it on shoulder day?
I do, yes.
I do them both because I'm transitioning to figure. and I needed some rear delts. I used to be, well, he is the one that showed me to do the grip a little bit more narrow, especially since I'm a little person. I'm 4'11", I don't know if you can tell. I didn't think that would work for me. And then I tried it, and I was able to pull a little more weight, and my back, especially the lower portion, started to open up a little bit. Even my coach noticed. So it's good to like take the advice from your training partner or someone else that might be trying something that you've never done before. Even if it's scary, and I know like we're all into our own programs and we want to make sure we do it right, but sometimes like you'll figure something out because you've tried it because someone else is doing it. And if it doesn't work for you, then don't do it. But I did it after he showed me in my own workouts, and so it's been working for me. So I wasn't even rowing this much like 2 weeks ago.
Gorgeous. Fight. 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 Yep. And that's the back workout. Good shit.